These are the new DJI Lito 1 and X1, DJI's new series of sub 250 gram models, aimed squarely at beginners and hobbyists wanting excellent pictures and videos, but not necessarily up for paying the higher prices of the top-end Pro models like the Mini 5 Pro. They've got some impressive specs, some of which match the more expensive Pro models, and the X1 camera is pretty identical to the Mini 4 Pro's camera. But the new Lito series also marks the end of the older non-Pro Mini series, like the Mini 3 and the Mini 4K, that are going to continue working but won't be updated anymore. So today I'm taking a full in-depth look at these two new models from DJI that to me make them way more than just beginner-friendly drones. Hello, I'm Ian and I play with drones, and I have been having good fun with these two new impressive models from DJI. Now they are being released as the new and completely updated entry-level models for beginners and younger flyers that can't necessarily go for the more expensive top-end Pro models. But they actually grab many of the features and specs from these very same top-end models, making them a really good option for anyone wanting to get their first drone or a smaller backup drone. So today I'm outlining their main features, what they like to fly, and crucially how good they are at producing pictures and video. Look, as ever, despite these being sent to me in advance to review, everything in this video is absolutely my own thoughts and experience, both good and bad. This is not a sponsored DJI advert for these new models. But that said, I was actually genuinely surprised at just how good these two models are, and especially considering their entry-level price. So on that, let's probably talk money, because that's the biggest draw of these new models. The budget Lito 1 is coming in at just under £300 for the drone-only package and £429 for the Fly More combo with the extra batteries and the N3 controller. Now the higher spec X1 is around £60 more, coming in at £370 or US dollars or 420 euros for the drone-only package, and it has a few other options for the RC N3 without the screen or the RC2 remote with a built-in screen. Now, at the time of filming, it seems like the Lito 1 will not work with the RC2 remote, but apparently that may change in the future, but at the moment, it's not the case. So let us go straight on to the main features of each model, because as mentioned, they have got some fairly decent specs. Before that, please, customary favour as ever, please just give me a little thumbs up if you like this video. It really does help the old YouTube algorithm to click that this early in the video, and these videos do take weeks to make, so it's really, really appreciated. Look, to keep things simple, what I'm going to do is make a comparison between both of the models at the same time so you can see which model has got what. They both sport a C0 and a UK0 label. No ambiguity about their weight either, coming in at a healthy 248 grams each. Being UK0, there is no requirement for broadcasting remote ID in the UK yet until the end of 2027. And when I checked, remote ID was not being broadcast. If they were UK1, they would need to be broadcasting remote ID, but UK0 has that exemption for another year and a half or so. They have obviously got a similar look and feel to the existing Mini series of drones, but they are definitely a new model. They're both sporting the new mono omnidirectional obstacle avoidance sensor on the top and the mono infrared sensor underneath as well. The Lito X1 has also got twin LiDAR sensors at the front, giving you very good low light obstacle avoidance, whereas the more budget Lito 1 does not have LiDAR. It's just got simple little grills in place, if you like, where the sensors are on the other model. I'm going to go through how they performed in a bit. Now I just want to go through the main features. Now both Lito models use the same battery, but really annoyingly, the batteries have got a slightly different slot, meaning existing batteries from the Mini series will not even fit into the drone properly and certainly won't work. And another disappointment, after finally getting push-on, pull-off props with the Mini 5 Pro, they've reverted back to using micro screws to attach the props to the arms, which is a bit of a shame. And as I found out during my testing, you will need the little micro screwdriver that comes with the packages to change the props if you need to. So that's a little bit of a shame that they've gone backwards there. Both models, though, have got pretty much similar flight specs. Top speed, 18 meters per second in sport mode, and a spec max flight time of 36 minutes for the standard battery, or 52 minutes using the Lito Plus battery. Now, interestingly, the briefing specs stated that this flight time was in controlled conditions until forced landing with total battery depletion. But it also gave a shorter, lower flight time of around 23 minutes for more real-world flying, taking into account normal flying and filming and the automatic return to home. In practice, I did find that shorter flight time was about right. I was getting around 25 minutes before the return to home kicked in. So as usual, if you are going to be looking at getting this, I would definitely go for a package with an extra battery or two. With that top speed comes good wind handling, spec wind resistance of 10.7 meters per second, which matches the Mini 4 Pros, but is slightly lower than the Mini 5 Pro's wind handling of 12 meters per second. Both were pretty much identical to fly, but as I said, there are some differences between the two models. I've mentioned the lack of LiDAR on the one. Obviously, the other main difference is the cameras. That's the big difference between the video and pictures that they produce. Now, as I said, Lito X1 has got pretty much the same camera found on the Mini 4 Pro. It's a 1/1.3 inch 48 megapixel sensor with an 82.1 degree field of view, producing full 4K video up to 100 frames per second, or giving you super slow-mo options of 200 frames per second at the lower 1080 resolution. All exactly the same as the Mini 4 Pro. And like the 4 Pro, it can produce video files in 264 AVC compression or 265 HEVC compression, and it even pumps out D-Log-M 10-bit color video. Stills are produced in either the native 12 megapixel resolution or making use of its quad Bayer overlay, a more impressive 48 megapixel resolution in both JPEG and RAW DNG. Unlike the Mini 4 Pro though, there is no camera rotation for vertical shooting, meaning it will only produce 2.7K vertical video, and the maximum video bitrate is slightly lower at 130 megabits per second as well. Again, I'm going to come back to camera performance shortly. I'm just going to carry on with the specs and features for now. Cameras, as I said, are the biggest difference between the two. The Lito One, the more budget option, has got a smaller half-inch sensor, which is closer to that found on the older Mini 4K or the DJI Neo 2, but with very different specs. The Lito One camera is also 48 megapixel sensor with 79 degree field of view, producing 4K video up to 100 frames per second, but no 200 frame per second option. Again, it's produced in 264, 265, but no D-Log-M option, and again the same max video bitrate of 130 megabits per second. Again, stills are produced in 12 megapixel or 48 megapixel resolutions in both JPEG and RAW, which is a nice bonus. Both cameras are on gimbals, obviously with a similar range of movement. They pitch up to 40 degrees above the horizontal horizon and straight down 90 degrees straight down. Neither of the cameras have got a roll function like the Mini 5 Pro, but both the X1 and the One have got master shots and the full suite of quick shots, allowing you to take automated mini movies of yourself with asteroid, droney, rocket and the like. Both models also have full Active Track 360 options, allowing you to film video following you or a subject without the need for using a remote control. Both models also come with panorama modes of sphere, wide angle, vertical and 180, although neither of them have got the free pano option where you can define the precise dimensions of the panorama. And I've got to admit, I was pretty surprised to see both models sporting all of those features and functions. So as I said, I will cover more in the performance section of the video. I guess I just want to try and make the point here that surprisingly, apart from the Lito One not having the 200 frames per second option and no D-Log-M, both cameras have pretty much the same range of functions and features, which I thought was an impressive little bonus. Right, so the X1 has got internal storage of 42 gigs, along with a slot for a micro SD card, whilst the Lito One has no internal storage at all, meaning you have to insert a micro SD card to get any photos or videos. Both transmit using O4 transmission. During my flight, had absolutely no issues whatsoever. They both have green flashing lights for night flying, although these do still turn off when recording video. They have got automatic power up and power down when unfolding or folding the legs, which you can enable or disable in the settings. And both offer quick transfer for fast transferring of files to your phone running the DJI Fly app without the need for cables. So, That is about it for all the features and specs, but more importantly, how did they fly and perform? Well, flight-wise, they did pretty well perform like any of the more recent Mini Series models. Certainly speed and flight times are pretty similar, although I didn't actually have any strong windy storms to test them during the time I had them for review. Also, of course, I had to use a phone attached to the N3 remote when I was flying the Lito 1. That was a little bit of a retro throwback for me. I've only been using the RC2 or the RC for well over 3 years now. But look, functionally, they were very, very similar to existing models. Obstacle avoidance was good, but not great. It did seem quite quick to miss twigs and branches. I had more than a few close encounters with trees when filming, including one crash that snapped the props, which in truth the props do seem lighter, thinner, and possibly more brittle. So they may end up needing replacing a little bit more frequently if you do hit anything. When I was filming, some of the collisions happened flying forwards and others were sideways. So again, I would tend to say that obstacle avoidance is a help, but you cannot always rely on it. The Active Track 360 worked really well, and again, I was really impressed with how it handled dense woods and shady light whilst trying to follow me. Again, though, it did clip a few twigs when tracking me, so for me, I would generally only use Active Track in wide open spaces where it should avoid large obstacles easily and not have to fight with thin twigs or branches. It has the same intelligent return to home found on the more recent models like the Mini 5 Pro and the Air 3S, working out its best route back and using a mix of its sensors, the camera and the original flight path out. Pictures and signal transmissions were spot on, never failing or losing signal. Now, in fairness, I never flew that far away from myself, but at all times the camera view streamed perfectly. Prop noise was also the huge, lovely surprise here. The Mini 5 Pro, when that came out last year, I thought what a new standard in low prop noise. And in my testing, I found that the Lito 1 and the X1, they had identical prop noise to each other and practically the same, if not a slightly quieter prop noise than the Mini 5 Pro, which was a really, really pleasing result. These are drones that are going to become audibly invisible, or inaudible, I guess, when they're more than 20-40 metres up, which is exactly how things should be. They will not annoy people around you, and you will be able to fly without feeling all conspicuous. But irrespective of how they fly, what's fundamental to most of us is the quality of the videos and the pictures taken. And here I wasn't disappointed either. Now, in daylight, both cameras performed fine, producing very, very decent video. And even when using the digital zoom modes, the resolution was not too bad at all. Video can cycle between 1x, 2x and 3x digital zoom when filming in 4K. Even in 1080 mode, the video was quite impressive, decent clarity and colours, and certainly good enough for any social media. So it's easy to overlook this lower resolution mode that's going to produce files that are much, much smaller than 4K, because as I said, the output was still very, very decent. At night, the X1 also did really well. It is easy to get spoilt by the great low light output of the more expensive models, like the Mini 5 Pro or the Air 3S. But the X1 pumped out very clear video, even in very low light. It did get slightly grainy in the darker parts of the pictures, but overall I was really impressed with the low light performance of the X1. The X1 produces stills in both JPEG and RAW, as I said, in the native 12 megapixel or the higher resolution 48 megapixel mode. And I did find the 48 megapixel mode better every single time. Again, you've got the digital ops and zooms to make use of, but in all modes, I found the 48 megapixel option always produced superior results. Equally, the panorama function worked really well, especially in low light. Panoramas are only output in JPEG, pretty much like most DJI models, but I was more than happy with the results of these low-light panoramas I took of Broughton Pier. Now, the lower spec Lito 1 also did well. Its smaller half-inch sensor is always going to give a slightly poorer result in low light, and for me, the colours did grey out a little bit and things got quite grainy in very low light. But in daylight, I thought it performed extremely well. Complex video with lots of detail to capture still came out sharp with very decent colours. Like the X1, the One also produces stills in both JPEG and RAW, and again, I was more than happy with the results for such a small sensor. Again, complex pictures were handled fine, and even the shady pictures came out bright and clear with no noise or grain. Now, interestingly, despite both cameras having a spec max video bitrate of 130 megabits per second, All of the videos I filmed came out with around 60 to 70 megabits bitrate. Even the videos in the woods with the bluebells that I would have thought commanded a higher bitrate personally. But either way, I wasn't disappointed with any of the footage I took with either model, especially considering the price and the fact that these are aimed very much at entry-level models. So that may well be a good point to wrap things up, I think, and give my overall thoughts as to which model to actually get. To me, either one of these models is going to produce good results and impress most owners, unless you already own a top-end model with a superior camera and start doing side-by-side comparison. The Lito one may be the budget option out of the two, but its camera and results will be more than good enough for the majority of users. That said, given the relatively small price difference between the two models and the way better flying experience of flying with a remote that has got a built-in screen, if you can stretch to the more premium Lito one, then I would absolutely say the extra money is worth it. Not only being able to fly with the RC2 remote, but more fundamentally having the same camera found on the far more expensive Mini 4 Pro. But to me, there is no doubt that if you're after your first drone or a very decent backup drone, then either model will perform very well for you, especially at their lower prices. If you can go for the X1, then do so. But don't worry about going for the budget Lito one option if that's all you can afford, because you will still be immensely happy with how it flies and crucially the photos and videos that it takes. And fundamentally, that is what it's all about. Right, look, hoping this long double review has been useful. If you do like the stuff I do, then consider joining my channel with the membership options to get direct help from me, as well as getting more staff and member-only videos. It's a nice, close-knit little club, if you like. Lets us chat way more, so I'll put a link below. But as I said, look, these are two very decent new offerings from DJI. They make a very clear starting point for their more entry-level models, with two clear choices before you then jump up to the top-end Pro series of models. As ever, let me know your thoughts below, what you find good and bad, what you maybe think about having the end of support for the older models. But look, either way, until next time, have fun, and as ever, happy flying.